Step up your home decor game at HomeSense, the newest member of the HomeGoods family. Every day you'll find game-changing savings on rugs, lamps and chandeliers, furniture, and more for inside and outside your home. Make your backyard the envy of the neighborhood. HomeSense is a new shopping adventure on every visit. New finds arrive all the time, so it's never the same store twice. For brands you love at prices that make sense, take a virtual tour and find a store near you at homesense.com.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Williams, and I love being able to share my story with you on my podcast, Checking In with Michelle Williams, where my guests and I, we get real as we share the ups and downs of our mental health journeys, and I'd love for you to join me. iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Listen to Checking In with Michelle Williams every Tuesday, a part of the Black Effect on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Welcome to VSiN's Primetime Action on a Wednesday night. 24 hours away now from the NFL Draft. It's Gil Alexander, Matt Brown, Danielle Alvari, Kelly Bidlin. Glad you could join us tonight. Whole bunch of NFL Draft. We'll talk to Michael Lombardi. That should be fun from the Lombardi line later. JVT, our senior NBA analyst, but he's got thoughts on the NFL Draft as well. We'll get to him and so much more. A trade in the NFL. Meanwhile, baseball, basketball, hockey all going on as well.
I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff going on to talk about here. I imagine one thing is going to dominate tonight, but yes. We'll get to some of these other things. Spurs and the Heat. Andre Iguodala, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson back tonight for the Heat. Tyler Hero is out. Greg Popovich said Derek White will miss the rest of the regular season with a pretty bad sprained ankle. So if you were looking to get on the train of the team that we talk about that no one ever talks about, then maybe you could. That's a bit of betting information for you there. But again, we never talk about the Spurs here on the show. No. We only talk about them when we want to point out how we never talk about
not them. Negatively, not positively. We just don't.
We just don't ever talk about them. The Heat, 4.5-point favorites right now, 213 your total in that one. A little bit later, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, Blazers and the Grizzlies. Blazers on the back end of a back-to-back. They beat the Pacers by 21 last night. We pointed out, if you were watching, the box score. Anthony Simons went 27 points, all of which came on three-pointers. So we pointed that out in that game. As we sit right now, we're looking at the Grizzlies as 2-point favorites, 240 your total in that game. The Pelicans and the Nuggets, both teams on the front end of back-to-backs here. The Pelicans play at the Thunder tomorrow. The Nuggets get the Raptors at home. Steven Adams is questionable. James Johnson should be available for the Pelicans tonight. Pelicans, Gil, first team out of the playoffs right now, but they've got a home couplet with the Warriors at the beginning of next week, and then they play them again on May the 14th. So the Warriors being the team immediately ahead of them, so they do have them 3 more times.
3 games difference in the loss column
before we get there. So every single game important for the Pelicans.
Every game huge. I got to be honest. That number, I didn't play it yet. That number feels a little light, and if Steven Adams isn't going tonight, that might end up being a play on the Nuggets for me because I don't really know how they're going to slow down Jokic then inside.
Yeah, Nuggets, 4-point favorites, 230 your total in that one. Jazz and the Kings, no Mike Conley tonight, still no Donovan Mitchell tonight for the Jazz. So with no Conley or Mitchell on the court, just if you're looking to play props, I don't know exactly where they sit right now, but just did a quick little look at this. With no Conley or Mitchell on the court, Jordan Clarkson actually has a 31% usage rate on the season.
Yeah.
So massive usage for Jordan Clarkson whenever those two guys are not on the court. So maybe something you want to look at when it comes to the prop market there. Harrison Barnes is out for the Kings.
The other one with those two out, Matt, the other one I'd look at is Joe Ingles' assist number. He really takes over most of the distributing when those two guys, when we've seen both of those guys out this season. So Ingles' assists, Clarkson points, those are two I'd definitely look at for tonight.
Jazz 8.5, 9-point favorites right now, 221.5 is your total. And then the final game of the evening, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, Clippers and the Suns. Paul George, Luke Kennard are not on the injury report tonight, so they should be good to go. Nick Batum is questionable, and Kawhi is going to miss his 5th straight in this one. Dario Saric and Jay Crowder both questionable for the Suns. Usually this information drops at some point here in the first hour of the show, so when that does, we will be sure and fill you in on what the injury situation is there.
But that's the game of the night, right? Suns-Clippers. I mean, 2 games different in the loss column. If you have a Pacific Division ticket on the Suns specifically at double digits to 1, maybe as high as 16 to 1, that is a monster game. Because if the Suns win that, it's, leader in the clubhouse big time. If you care about the first seed, and we've already said on this show before, we're not sure how much these teams do. But the Suns, obviously, 1 game in the loss column behind the Jazz there. Other hand, Clippers trying to have their sights on the same exact thing. Not necessarily just a Pacific Division title, but also the number 1 seed. If these things mean as much to these teams as the common fan and the common bettor hopes they do, if you are in fact involved in these betting markets. So that's the game of the night. That's the late one here in the National Basketball Association. Gil Alexander, Matt Brown, Danielle Alvari, Kelly Bidlin. It's VSiN's primetime action on a Wednesday night. Danielle will join us next hour. I have so much to say about the draft, but we'll get to that momentarily. Baseball tonight.
Yeah, a couple of first pitches momentarily here. We got the Angels and the Rangers. That's Alex Cobb versus Dane Dunning. Right now, looking at about minus 125 on the Angels. They're going to need to get that bet in really, really quick. First pitch should be here any moment. You got about 5 minutes on this next one, Mariners and the Astros. That is Justin Dunn versus Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke over a $2 favorite here, minus 210, all the way as high as 230 at one of the books out there. You can get 190 on Seattle if you are interested at all there in that one. Interesting, man. These pitchers with name brand value, just they draw it every single
doesn't
night.
matter.
It does not matter, no matter what's going on. Tigers and the Red Sox, Casey Mize versus Carlos Rodon. We are sitting right now. That one's at 9:40, 6:40 Pacific. We got, let's see here. Where is that one? Did that one get rained out or something?
I'm still seeing it.
Oh, it says postponed here on
There you go.
on mine. So that one must have been postponed. If that does get going tonight, 2-1 favorite are the White Sox in that one. We got the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Ryan Weathers and Taylor, was it Widner? Not sure for the Diamondbacks. Sitting right now, plus 135-ish, 133-ish, something like that on the Diamondbacks. We've actually switched pitchers to Riley Smith now. Yeah, Riley Smith is now going to go for the Diamondbacks. Weathers minus 165 favorite here. Gil, Weathers has looked really, really good. Youngest pitcher in Major League Baseball. Big time prospect who never really had a ton of eye-popping statistics in the minors, but has come up here at least early on for the Padres against Major League hitting and has done pretty well. I mean, this is another thing we've seen with some of these guys. Listen, younger guys, they come in, they do well early, and I think this is a guy I'm going to keep my eye on for maybe 10 starts in and maybe start fading him, because once these major league hitters get some tape on him and get some tendencies on him and what he likes to throw and when he likes to throw it, we saw this with Paddock, we saw this with some of these other younger guys that came up and dominated early and then a little bit later on. So no play for me tonight, but it's definitely one of the guys that I have kind of earmarked to where we get, 8 to 10 starts in when these guys have a little bit of a book on him. That might be a guy that I'm looking to fade. But tonight, like I said, 165 favorite in that one. And then finally, Orman Marquez and the Rockies against Alex Wood and the Giants. Giants about minus 135, minus 140 favorites in this one. You can catch 120, 125-ish on the Rockies if you're interested.
And Giants did not get it done for me last night. Brutal. Extra innings loss.
That one was brutal.
Brutal.
That was brutal.
Go-ahead homer for the Rockies in the ninth. Giants tied it up at the bottom of the ninth on a Brandon Belt homer. Could have won it in the bottom of the ninth. Couldn't get it done. They end up losing 7-5.
We do get day baseball, a lot of it, actually. I mean, there's just so much day baseball that is going on right now. The Twins got it going against the Indians, win 10-2 in that one. J.A. Happ, your winning pitcher there. Marlins and the Brewers, 6-2. Marlins win over the Brewers with the worst call in the history of Major League Baseball in this game. I have never seen anything more egregious in the history. And listen, we've seen some of these air quote strikes that are literally 6 to 8 inches off the plate. This was the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole life. A guy dribbles the ball down the line.
Diaz.
The pitcher goes over, fields the ball, and does the quick little toss over to first base. They give the guy first base, assumingly, I guess, because he said the pitcher was like interfering with the guy running to first base. It was the most egregious thing I've ever seen in baseball. Yeah, and I've been watching baseball a long time.
It was a Isan Diaz little number down the first base line, as you said, and they ruled. Yeah, they ruled that was interference.
So pitcher was going to field the ball.
He fielded it in the field of play on the grass.
He did not at all block the route to the blade.
What's he supposed to do? He's supposed to field the ball and tag him out or throw him out.
Well, I mean, the thing about that is it led to, it did lead to an additional Marlins run in that inning. And you can't, you can't prove that ends up changing the game, but it changes the game.
You just never know. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like especially with the state of bullpens these days and stuff. Like, one run so incredibly important. The Dodgers blanked the Reds today. Sonny Gray, rough outing for. Actually, a pretty good outing for him. The bullpen just let him down big time. Gray goes 5 2/3, only 4 hits, struck out 11 Dodgers. Actually, but then bullpen took over and gave up 6 earned in that game.
Brutal beat for underbettors. Yes. Brutal beat, 6th spot in the 8th for the Dodgers to put that over.
Clayton Kershaw, 7 strong, 4 hits, 1 walk, 8 Ks for him. His ERA 2.09 on the season. So Kershaw looks like he might be the Kershaw, at least a little bit of the Kershaw of old.
Honestly, if DeGrom's the leader in the clubhouse for NL Cy Young, and he's pitching right now, Kelly will update on that with us on that momentarily. And if Corbin Burns is number 2, you could make a case Kershaw's 3rd best right now.
I would be right with you on that.
Yeah. Kelly, what do you got in basketball and baseball, including the DeGrom update?
Yeah, we'll start over the NBA. Hawks and Sixers at the half. Sixers up big, 67-39. No Trae Young back for the Hawks yet, so they're feeling his absence. Sixers 26-point live favorite, 210 is your live total. Lakers in Wizards. In action, I believe, on ESPN right now. Lakers up 33-29, 45 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Lakers are 3.5-point live favorites, 239.5 your live total. At the half, the Magic up on the Cavs, 50-44. If you wanted to get in live on this game, Magic 2.5-point live favorites, 202 the live total. Celtics up on the Hornets, 41-28. 8:45 remaining in the second quarter. Celtics 14.5-point live favorites, 213.5 your live total. And the game I've got action on tonight, Knicks up on the Bulls, 32-24. 10 minutes left to go in the first half in that game. I've got the Knicks -4, so I'll be keeping my eye on that game tonight. Heat and Spurs just getting underway. Matt gave you those numbers earlier. Over in baseball, Braves up big on the Cubs right now, 6-0, top of the third. You can get Cubs 16-1 live if you wanted to hop in there now. 11.5 is your live total. Phillies and Cardinals scoreless, top of the second. Yankees up on the Orioles, 5-0, bottom of the fourth. A's and Rays scoreless in the bottom of the fourth. Rays a -210 live favorite. A's +170, 4.5 your live total. The Red Sox up on the Mets, 1-0, bottom of the fifth. Mets still a favorite, -130. Maybe they got a guy in scoring position. Red Sox even money live, 5.5 your live total. Royals up on the Pirates, 6-0, top of the fourth. If you wanted to get in live there, you get 14-1 on the Pirates. Nationals up on the Blue Jays, 3-0, top of the fourth. Nationals only -190 live, though. Blue Jays +155, 10.5 your live total. So maybe some runners in scoring position there for the Blue Jays, perhaps. Over in hockey, 2 games in action currently. Wild up on the Blues, 2-0. 12.5 minutes to go in the second period. Blues +575 live. If you wanted to hop in there, 5.5 your live total, shaded to the under. And Maple Leafs Canadiens just getting underway, scoreless there in Montreal.
Wow, a lot going on. A lot going on indeed.
This thing is, you just go back to this Mets thing. They have 1 hit. I mean, it is unbelievable every time this guy gets on the mound.
Yeah. Again, it's just 1-0, bottom of the fifth, as Kelly said. And it's DeGrom doing everything he can do. I asked Josh Towers this morning, our own Josh Towers, who played the game, obviously. Like, does he think this is in DeGrom's head? Does he think it's in the hitters' heads? And he said with DeGrom, you'll never see it on the outside, but he clearly has to be frustrated. And he said with the hitters, absolutely, they tighten up now. That's his belief. Like, they're just like, oh, no, DeGrom's pitching. We better get this guy.
It's only best pitcher, of the last 5 years.
I think that's interesting because you always wonder about that. Like, because it's such a weird baseball quirk. Like, just guys randomly don't have guys hit for him. But with DeGrom, it's extended. Again, from, 2018, we ran the stat. They're 36-42 in his starts, like up to a couple starts ago. So... And then you see the Friday night game when we were here where he's throwing 15 strikeouts, and the stupid bettor in us goes, oh, I wish I had bet that again. Like, it's just, you're like, oh, I knew I should have bet that. No, you didn't, because they could have just not scored for him again.
Yeah. I was on the other side of that one, so I took the big L. But, hey, listen, at least we got if I'm going to take the L, at least I can sit there and watch him strike out 15 guys.
That's right.
I'm okay with that.
And flirt with history. Kelly, let's run this tweet. We are now in overdrive for... Here come stories left and right, 24 hours in to the NFL draft. And here is the latest. This is from Dale Arnold. What I've been told by a reliable source, you got to love the reliable source, Patriots are working on a new contract for Jimmy G that could lead to a deal with the Niners. Same source who correctly told me, Dale Arnold says, that Tom Brady had signed with the Buccaneers. Doesn't mean it'll get done, but they're working on it. Well, that leaves it open, doesn't it?
That leaves it open. Dale Arnold's some background. He calls Bruins games on NESN, has called games for all 4 of the professional Boston teams.
Believable.
I mean, if you guys remember, the whole real smoke and then like that turning into like sparks and then fire or whatever about the whole Baker Mayfield thing didn't start until about 24 hours before the draft. That really got going about 24 hours before the draft. That is he really going to go 1 overall? Is he?
That was a famous part of my dispute in 2018. Not my dispute, but my whole thing with William Hill and my NFL draft props that year. Where when I talked to Bogdanovich afterwards, he's like, you had to know Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick for a long time. I was like, no, we didn't know the last 24 hours, dude. Like, it was just at the very end. That's when that happened. Well, we have a lot to say about a lot of stuff tonight.
It is, but I mean, look, this makes a lot. I mean, this is where you're going to go next. But I mean, look, we talk about this time and time again about the quarterback position being the most important by far, the most important position in all of sports. Like, you're never going to win anything if you don't have a quarterback that you can rely on. And that's why these teams go either quarterback crazy or these teams make moves maybe like this again, maybe like this. We see what went on today, Gil. I mean, that's this is going to impact basically what we're going to be talking about tomorrow night.
Well, so what you're referring to is the trade today. Teddy Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos. Who knew that the market for Teddy Bridgewater was a 6th-round pick? That surprised you a little bit? That's all they had to give up? Oh, and of course they did only take the Broncos, only took $3 million of his $10 million salary as well. Upgrade from Drew Lock to Teddy Bridgewater, significant upgrade.
So I think what you've done here, in my opinion, is what they're doing is you have your floor and you've got your ceiling, right? You've got your floor guy in Bridgewater. You've got your ceiling guy in Locke. And you're Vic Fangio. And the fan base is like looking around going, okay, about time to win some stuff around here. And I think that if Drew Lock does not give them what they're looking for, they now have their floor play, right? Like, they have a guy that's going to come in, and he's not going to wow you. But when you think about this, Cortland Sutton's coming back. Like, if you remember, they played all last season without Cortland Sutton. This will be second year for Jerry Jeudy, where we typically see a lot of these guys take a big leap in their second year. And then KJ Hamler had to step in and had to play. And again, he'll be a second-year guy for this Broncos team. He should be much better as well. And you have Noah Fant at the tight end position. So there's going to be no lack of weapons for whoever is under center for the Broncos. And so if Drew Lock is not that guy, at least you have a floor guy in Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, he's not going to wow you. He's not going to blow things out of the water or anything, but at least you got a guy that is kind of like not going to go in there and lose you games, where Locke made some just boneheaded decisions, horrible plays that lost them games. Teddy Bridgewater isn't at least going to go in there and lose you a game.
Well, many have said already since this, including our own Michael Lombardi, who will join us at the top of next hour, but I believe Schefter said this as well, this does not take the Broncos out of a quarterback market in the draft.
Yeah,
Do you buy that?
No, because that's what you say, because you want people to still come up and offer you, maybe make a trade if you do have a Fields or a Lance still sitting there at 9. You can't say, oh, and by the way, we're not interested in these 2 other quarterbacks that are so highly sought after that everybody wants. You have to say, hey, we still might take these guys. So if you want one of them, you better come knocking, right? We better get some phone calls from you. But you don't. I think at this point, you're not having 3 different guys in there on a quarterback battle. I don't think at this point. If you were going to take a quarterback, there's no point in trading for Teddy Bridgewater, right?
I would assume so, but then you hear the same thing out of Washington, right? They pick up Fitzpatrick, who's obviously a short-term guy, 1 or 2 years tops, one would think. And you still have Heineke, you still have Allen, and they're like, no, we'd trade up for, the rumors about them trading up for Trey Lance. So you never know with these guys.
At least with Washington, it does make sense because Fitzpatrick, we know he's cool with mentoring and all that stuff. He was super cool with the whole Tua switch and all that. And if that happened to be the case a little bit later, or if he plays the entire season and just mentors and stuff, and he knows he's a bridge guy. He knows he's a gap guy.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if you know or not, he went to Harvard.
Yeah.
And
I did pick that up.
I hear Harvard guys are pretty smart, and so he understands also his age is advanced as well, and so he understands that this is not a long-term gig for him there in Washington either.
That Garoppolo Patriots rumor is pretty interesting though, because again, obviously, look, the one thing about Bill Belichick is he would be comfortable to some extent with Jimmy Garoppolo.
We know he loved him. He held on to him forever.
He, in fact, from what we could glean from that whole episode, Belichick kind of got the short end of that stick, right? Mm-hmm. He wanted to move on by some people's accounts from Tom Brady to Jimmy Garoppolo. And Robert Kraft may have weighed in.
Said no thanks.
Said, we're not going to do that, Bill. We're going to stick with Tom. By the way, that was my Robert Kraft. You're welcome.
I liked it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. When we come back, Danielle will join us, and we'll find out what she's betting. I also would like to say something about this NFL draft that has not been said yet, or at least I haven't heard anybody said. We've had so much time to get to it. Finally, one new thing to say about this, and it has to do with last season. We'll come back right here on VSiN's Primetime Action.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir?
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
It's crazy how much we have to pay for outdated, impersonal healthcare. And even crazier that we all just accept it. It's time to face facts. Healthcare is backwards. Luckily, there's Forward, a new approach to primary care that's surprisingly personal and refreshingly straightforward. Forward never makes you feel like just another patient. Backed by top-rated doctors and the latest tech, Forward gives you access to personalized care whenever you need it. Using in-depth genetic analysis and real-time blood work, Forward's top-rated doctors provide you with in-depth insights to better understand your genetics, mental, and physical health. They then create custom, easy-to-understand plans to help guide you to achieving long-term health. With Forward, you get unlimited in-person visits with your doctor and access to care anytime via the Forward app, all for one flat monthly fee. It's time to stop accepting backwards healthcare and start moving your health forward. Visit GoForward.com today to learn more. That's GoForward.com.
Download any of the DraftKings apps today to participate in DraftKings NFL Draft Pool. Pick the landing spots of the league's newest stars to compete for your share of $50,000. Use promo code VSIN, that's VSIN, when you sign up to compete in this $50,000 pool. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions. Gil.
Danielle.
Yeah.
How you doing?
So good.
What'd you bet?
I just have to say, by the way, my grand salami hit last night.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Winner video.
So that's
By how many? Was it a sweat to the end?
27 away goals to 21 home.
Oh, easy.
You are a documented.
But it did come down to the last games.
Documented lifetime 1-0 on Grand Salamis.
I'm just saying the salam. Anyways, today I have baseball going on. I had another moneyline parlay, but the White Sox game got canceled due to weather, I believe. So that one, I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens with the Astros game. But I do still have Dodgers-Padres moneyline. The Dodgers already came through for me earlier today, 8-0, I believe. Padres starts in just about an hour and 20 minutes or so. Royals going on right now, also up very nicely for me right now. I think it's 6-2. Pirates just scored 6-3 versus the Pirates, but still feel good about that one. And then for hockey, I have the under on the Canadiens Canucks, which is underway already, with the Maple Leafs up 2-0 in the first period. So that will be a sweat.
All right. Hope you have as good a night as you did last night.
Yeah.
Very solid for me last night.
It was fun to monitor all the games.
By the way,
it's fun on a night.
Jacob deGrom is still losing 1-0. He did beat out a double play ball, though. He just hustled out to first base. So fielder's choice. But just, you love to see a guy care like that for the Mets. Can I say my thing about the draft here?
Let's hear it.
So we spend all our time talking about who's going to pick who, right? And justifiably so. That's what we're betting. I don't know that we ever go back and talk about enough about how these teams got there. And so I harken back to the end of last season, and you think about the Jets beating the Rams, and then who'd they beat? Cleveland the next week in Week 16. So
I'll have to check.
So the Jets win those two games, right? Jets win those two games and don't get the first pick in the draft. As Jets fans will scream and tell you, as long as you can listen, that's how they end up with, I guess, Zach Wilson instead of Trevor Lawrence. And then think of all the crap we gave to the Philadelphia Eagles, who ultimately, for this draft's sake, played it right in terms of just deciding against Washington in that final game to concede the division to Washington. Here you go, Washington football team. We're going to take the L here, no matter how many excuses they had that night. Yes, you can say it was a disgrace to football.
Yeah, I remember being kind of upset about that, but yeah, but you're right. You're right.
You can say whatever you want, but that got them, where they were in the draft, which I guess was, where were they? They were 6th initially. Where were they eventually? 6th, and then they traded through multiple trades, ended up at 12. And so, we always forget about that. What if the Patriots, instead of beating the Jets in Week 17, what if they had laid an egg? They'd be so much closer to their quarterback of choice in a draft. Because you got to wonder, as we were saying yesterday, the Niners probably wanted Mac Jones from the beginning on that trade. Then Kyle Shanahan heard the backlash from the fans and was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then he was finally like, we can live with the consequences. Forget you, San Francisco fans. We're drafting Mac Jones. That's if you read the tea leaves. Well, the Patriots probably thought Mac Jones was going to be the guy that slides. And then they realized, he's not. But again, I just want us to remember this, Week 16 and Week 17 of next year, when we cry about teams, we accept tanking in the NBA, and we even appreciate it from a betting standpoint. And when it happens in football, somehow we act like our entire moral code has been hampered and tampered with. And that's got to stop, because when we get to the draft, these teams are in the predicaments they're in midway through a first round when they didn't have to be. So a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for openly tanking in Week 17. You're welcome.
I like it.
It's my rant.
And you know what? No, that's not even a rant. That's just truth.
That's just
a
fact.
Truth bomb.
Yeah, that's just fact.
It's a truth bomb.
And it was Jets beat Rams Week 15 and Browns 16.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yep. And the Jets fans will be like, yeah, now we're drafting Zach Wilson, who we're not even sure is going to be a thing. So they could have gone from Trevor Lawrence, supposedly generational, to being the Jets because they had to win those two games. Anyway, it's the night before the draft. We hadn't mentioned that, so I figured we had to.
We'll run through all at the top of next segment, too. We'll run through all of the rumors that are floating around, too. I've heard all kinds of things now as we get in the last 24 hours. I don't know if that's because people are being a little bit more loose-lipped or if this is stuff that people knew all along that they're just now leaking. Mm-hmm. No idea, but there's some stuff out there.
What do loose lips do?
They
sink ships.
Thank you. It's primetime action. We'll come back. We'll also do golf. Oh, golf. We have some contests to play. It's next on primetime action.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
Hey there, friends. I'm Eli.
And I'm Diana.
And we want to tell you about our podcast, Ridiculous Romance.
We're a real-life married couple telling stories of relationships past, present, and maybe even future.
We've got couples, thruples, side pieces, and trysts.
Everything from ancient rulers to celebrity cannibals, plus ghosts, aliens, robots, holograms, killer couples, power couples, and more.
What you get is a podcast that's part history, part comedy, and all ridiculous.
You will learn and laugh, grow, and show with Ridiculous Romance, a production of iHeartRadio.
Find us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
Football season never ends, and it's time to get your bets ready for the NFL Draft. The teams have been evaluating the prospects. Our football experts look for the best betting opportunities. We looked at team needs, position props, and futures markets to find the best bets on the board. You can check out all that coverage on vsin.com, plus our daily best bet emails, 24/7 video access, and we'll be live all night during round one with Brent Musburger, Michael Lombardi, Gil Alexander, Matt Brown, Mike Pritchard, and all our VSiN football experts. Learn more and start your free VSiN trial now at vsin.com. Excited for tomorrow night, guys.
Oh, so pumped.
Yeah.
So pumped. We're already like coordinating and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want us to clash. So I wanted to know.
Yeah, what we're going to wear. Same. Like,
Matt's trying to figure out where to wear a tie.
No, if a brachiosaurus like wore a necktie, would he wear it up by his head or would he wear it down by his body?
Did one of the dinosaurs in the Flintstones wear a tie? Dino wore a tie, right?
No, he wore a collar.
Oh,
Fred had a tie. I just looked it up. Barney
dinosaur didn't.
Barney didn't. Fred had a tie. No, I know they're not dinosaurs.
So,
Fred did.
So you can trace the tie all the way back to.
So picture the dinosaur. If you're listening,
dinosaur with the long neck.
You're near your Twitter machine. So picture a dinosaur with that really long neck. Is he wearing the necktie up by his head, or is it like down by his body?
These are the important questions.
That floating rib's really affected.
It's really affecting him. Really affected him.
He's got too much time on his hands.
You say this one?
No, the first.
You say this one. Down by his body.
Do we have golf this week, Kelly?
Thank you, Danielle.
so real quick though about the draft. So I'm listening to.
I was gonna say.
So Sal Powell was on right before I came in. Of course, he's as plugged in with the Eagles as anyone. And again, whether this was he already knew this or if this is something new, we have no idea. But he was hearing that they are looking to get inside the top 10 because they apparently have someone that they're eyeing.
The Eagles, who were at 6,
right,
and went back to 12,
right,
are looking to get back
into the top 10. He says. So there is that. There are the reports that the Falcons are, despite what we have heard and all this, are still taking calls, are going to basically listen to people up until the very last moment, whenever they have to make that pick. If we believe that, again, Gil, if we believe that. We've also heard coming out of the Falcons that they are not beyond taking a quarterback either. Was another rumor that was floated today that they have not ruled out taking a quarterback.
Do you think they're just saying that?
I mean, again, it's the same thing I was talking about with. It's the same thing that I was talking about with the Broncos. Like, I think you have to say that.
Yeah,
because you at least do want. Like, I think they take Pitts. I think they want Pitts. I think they like the 4 pick. However, you have to say, like, we might take one of these quarterbacks if you think it's going to be sitting there, pick 7 Detroit Lions or whatever, who are like, in hopes that you get some just wacky offer on it.
You know who would offer a wacky offer? Jerry Jones for Kyle Pitts.
Jerry Jones says he will not offer. Like Jerry Jones
will not be authorized.
He was trying to tamp that down today. You noticed there was steam on Sewell over 5.5 today.
There was.
A lot of steam on that. Does somebody know something?
Saw that. I saw Kyle Pitts' third overall number come way down.
Some of the there's scenarios that could play through now, depending on how this goes down. That scares me on a couple of them. So
You've got Gil intrigued.
My head is exploding.
All right, Kelly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Golf in 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. Valspar Championship in 2.5 minutes. Here we go.
Brand?
156 players.
All in on Sung JM, right? Let's move on. There it is.
What's
that?
that?
It is? All in on Sung JM, and then we move on?
No, I'm not. We're back in Florida this week, though. West Coast, par 71 over in Innisbrook Resort over on the west coast of Florida. Event was not played last year. Paul Casey has won this year past two times, 2019, 2018. Paul Casey, me and him got some beef this year for a couple missed bets. He's put me through. So this course, interesting course, 5 par 3s, Matt. I know you didn't really go into this much this week. 4 of those par 3s measuring over 200 yards. So that was something that I took into account big time with stats for the model this week. Tree-lined fairways, 74 bunkers, 8 water hazards. Driving distance on this course averaging 12 yards shorter than the average event on tour. So driving distance not nearly as important this week. Get it into the fairway, get it up on the green. This has been one of the most difficult courses on tour over the past 5 or 6 years. Cut line +1 or higher every year since 2013. So this is real tough. I'll tell you, Snake Pit 16 through 18 are some of the more famous holes at the end of the course. That you'll hear mentioned many times on the broadcast. Some of the key stats that I looked at, really, strokes gained approach, obviously, is one we look at every week. Really important, though, on these tough courses with smaller greens, smaller fairways. Once you get it in, got to get it up on the green. I looked at par 3s. Good drives that keeps it in the fairway or roughly on the fairway. And guys, I ended up betting this week as we're running out of time here. Charlie Hoffman, Chris Kirk, they keep coming up right at the top of the model, Matt. So I'm right back on them this week. You do have Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson in the field, and then it's a drop-off from there. Other outrights I bet, Abraham Answer was up there in my model, Jason Kokrak, Joaquin Neiman, and Tom Hoagie with a little bit of a long shot that was up there. So mixed in top 10s, top 20s, top 30s on a bunch of those guys. How about that? Golf in 2 minutes.
So no one and done?
Might just tell you. I might just tell you.
We're doing one and done this week.
We are.
You'll have to send them to me later.
We'll do one and done.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we'll do one and done. Just no draft.
I did Chris Kirk.
No draft. We have another type of draft where we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, was there a draft tomorrow?
Just a little one.
JVT, our senior NBA analyst. We'll talk to him about the NBA, and I'm sure he'll chime in on the NFL draft as well. It's next, right here on Primetime Action.
Download any of the DraftKings apps today to participate in DraftKings NFL Draft Pool. Pick the landing spots of the league's newest stars to compete for your share of $50,000. Just use promo code VSIN, that's VSIN, when you sign up to compete in this $50,000 pool. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions. Gil.
Can we get this out of the way? Let's just before we get to JVT, because this is pressing. How did we start on this off air? Because we were saying, what are we wearing tomorrow night?
Because
we were talking about ties, whether we were going to wear ties.
And I said, why wear ties?
And you said, what even is a tie?
Yeah, what's the point of a tie? It's purely decorative, right?
Got us to thinking the origins of a tie, and then Matt goes off on his whole thing.
That went really back in time.
So this is now. What is this? A Brachiosaurus?
Yeah.
If a Brachiosaurus wore a tie, would he wear it? And we have options.
So top left here. I think it's the first way.
I think it's the first one.
See, I think it's the second because we wear a tie like just up around our neck.
The second one's ridiculous.
But that's where we wear a tie.
It's not flattering. First of all,
that Brachiosaurus would be so upset with that tie right there. It's not even funny.
I would hire him though. He looks like he's professional.
I like Alien wearing a hat.
It's 4 for that one, right? Bottom left. It's number 4.
Yeah.
You just have to get a super big hat. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, the hat's for the head.
Yeah.
Who found all these? Wrinkle did it downstairs?
Of course, yeah.
And look, the dog wearing pants, even though it looks ridiculous, it has to be the first one because he has 4 legs.
It's got 4 legs.
Yeah.
No, his hind legs. You would wear your pants on your hind legs.
That would be like you wearing pants on one leg when you walked around here. It would.
I love seeing JVT's face while we're getting ready for this, where he didn't look enthused at all about this until you guys just mentioned that.
JVT for the ruling on this. Our senior NBA analyst, Jonathan Von Tobel, which is the correct pants for the dog, John?
Kelly, I don't look enthused because these are all factual answers. These are all very easy. Brachiosaurus, it's number 1. The alien, it's number 4 if they can get the hat. If not, it's number 2. Mr. Krabs, there's actually an episode where he wears 2 top hats on each one of his eyes, so that's already decided. And then the last one, it's obviously the second one because the front legs are actually the dog's arms. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
So we're renaming just for the sake of this argument. We're renaming dogs' legs arms now. Like we're giving dogs arms. All right.
Have you asked Matt? Have you asked a dog what he calls its legs? We call them legs. We don't know what a dog uses them at.
Well, I mean,
we just got real deep now.
Yeah.
The good news
now that plus subscription.
The good news is the segment can only go up from here.
Yeah, only up.
Yeah.
Let's make it go up.
This is the best segment we've ever done.
JVT's best part was let's go. I think he got to get out of this. John, NFL draft tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Share with the people. I know you did this morning as well, but share with everybody what you have right now, what you feel most confident about, what you don't feel as confident about with your bets.
So I think if we're starting with the least confident, right, just given the reports, Justin Fields plus 180 to go number 3, obviously is kind of fallen by the wayside, got off it a little bit. I'm hoping it's Trey Lance because I paired that up with Trey Lance